Let's start recording. Hi, Alex. Really excited to talk with you about the idea. And thanks for posting and initiating that. And it's really interesting to me because somehow more and more often I see the same signals from different people. So some actually the same day that you made that post, somebody wrote a message to me and said, "Oh, we should have a regenerative job board." And I'm actually
Mm,
in conversation with another person who's got this idea of the playground. We should have this place where ideas and people come together so they can form and we can start projects together more easily. So, and I'm starting to experiment with recording conversations, posting videos, and stuff like this. And I've had a few people talk to me and say, "Oh, could you post my job? I'll pay you money." And I was like, "I don't want your money, but why don't we record an interview? You tell me about what your needs are, what you're thinking, and we'll post that, right? To experiment with new ways of sharing ideas, putting out invitations, right? I see it as
mhm.
out an invitation to collaborate, to come play. So that's my context. And yeah, I would love to hear about what you're thinking. What, uh, yeah, what are you thinking? What are your needs?
Yeah, that's a great, interesting question. Um, where to start? Well, I think I would want to start from the fact that I'm an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur, and my background comes from tourism, so creating trips and hiring guides and working with people basically in very remote places. So those people who are very close to nature. And I was always looking for ways how to, like I think the entrepreneurship, the first point of entrepreneurship is to create jobs in a good ways, like create some sort of opportunities for others to participate in this creation of experience together. And now I moved to Mexico, and I also have some other ideas and projects. On one side, maybe some new businesses that I want to try, and I'm looking for co-founders, or like I'm open for co-founders, but there's no place where to look for them except like Y Combinator co-founder match. But every time I go there, these are different people from very different perspectives. They are like, even if they look for co-founder opportunities, they are coming from very monetary perspective, like how you're gonna make money and the rest doesn't matter. So, and I mean, money is important, of course, but I also want to understand how do we create kind of positive impact on nature, because I'm super confident as a nature guide that nature is our first priority these days. Like if we do something for business, for example, like to make a living, as they say, it shouldn't be just monetary profit. It should be also some sort of restoration process for nature in places where we, live, work, and play. Yeah, and it's a long story. I'm not gonna dig this hole right now, but we can come back to this later. And another thing at the end of the day is that, for example, I get really excited right now about videos. And I just see how this medium of videos takes off, and we're recording it right now. And I'm super sure that this is also like, the new, I don't know, media revolution, so to say, where everybody is a publisher now. We can openly share our thoughts and connect and, find people who align. But that requires some sort of editing, that requires some sort of skills. Um, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to learn how to make this type of communication, how to help maybe purposeful businesses to deliver their message, and things like that. And so basically, my question was like, is there a place where I can find maybe some freelance gigs as a video editor for businesses to who I can be helpful? And then I went to all these freelance websites, and that's all the same story. I mean, you see there are businesses, you see there are other freelancers, but you really don't align with them in the values. It feels like they are, well, I don't want to sound arrogant in that, but like they live a little bit in the past. And if you will work with this kind of paradigm, well, you also will get stuck in the past instead of, moving to the future, developing your own partnerships and, you know, all this stuff. So all this combined made me think, just an idea, like, is there a job board or a freelance board for people who I call nature people, digital hippies, if you call this way. Because it used to be, I know many people who quit the paradigm, right, and who live in the countryside, especially from these past generations, when people moved from, for example, United States to Mexico and bought a piece of land and started a homestead or something. But this is very offline thing. They just do thing on land, and they, of course, disconnect from most of the world. Right now, when the connection is not a problem anymore, we can do digital tasks as well while while being remote, and working remotely, not in sense of like I'm sitting in the, I don't know, co-working, but remotely, literally. I spent like on these mountains behind me back then before the war in Ukraine. This is in Siberia. And back then, before the war in Ukraine, I spent more than a year in total living in these hills because it was so cool and there was a cell phone connection. And now, with most of the world covered by Starlink, I think the new era of global connectivity has just begun.
Nice. So there's a bunch of threads there. For me, the idea of green jobs board, I think that's interesting for sure. In the post that you made, some people shared some. I am interested in, and I wonder, connecting with, as you said, with video, what is the future of building collaboration and connecting to do stuff together? Because for me, I feel that more and more people aren't working in jobs in the sense that they have one employer where they work full time, 5 days a week, 50 weeks or 48 weeks a year, right? It's more and more we work on projects or we work fractionally doing multiple things. And that changes the nature of how we search for work, for collaboration. I think an amazing and a really important thing is that it opens up. It makes it much easier to, rather than have, I mean, yes, you have some interview process, but rather than finding people through job posts, resumes, and interviews, is just to start by working together on something,
Yeah.
right? Because of course, if you're hiring somebody full time and they have to quit their previous job in order to do anything with you, you can't ask them to, like, let's just, it wouldn't be humane to say, oh, we tried for a week or two, we don't like you, goodbye, right? But if you're working fractionally, it's very easy to say, "Well, let's just try. We have this small project, for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and let's try and let's see how our working together goes." So I think that's a huge opportunity. Video, as you said, is a huge opportunity. So yeah, I think, and at the same time, from what I read, the standard job search world is just gotten exploded and stopped working thanks to AI. It was already not good, But now you have people mass generating submissions via AI, people mass reading submissions via AI. So it's, my AI talking to your AI, which is like, it stops making sense, right?
Mm.
And I've heard of people who, you have to submit hundreds or even thousands of submissions in order to even just get a few interviews. And at the same time, you post a job and you get hundreds of submissions. So it's kind of a tragedy of the commons somehow, right? With this
Yeah.
weaponized AI recruitment, and both sides lose. So I'm not against AI, of course, but it's just shown the weakness where the current system doesn't work. So I wonder, I think we need new ways. We need these playgrounds where we can come together and try projects working together. We need to leverage video more. But what I wanted to talk about concretely, so what concretely are you looking for? Because you said it might be a co-founder or freelance work. Are you looking for freelance work for video editing yourself, or you want to start an agency for this? What what do you need partnership for?
Well, I'm looking for all of it because on one side, I am looking myself for freelance gigs. In video, I will be super happy to be useful um, for multiple reasons. On one side, it would be just great to have some extra revenue stream, but also it is so interesting to work for other people on a project basis because then I get to see their reality and it is so educating. It's better than, I don't know, reading books or listening to online courses because here you literally do the real job for somebody who is actually making something tangible. So, first-hand experience. On the other side, well, because I come from this Russian-Ukrainian war background, I am deeply affected by understanding of how many people have to leave their homes and find themselves in this new weird reality where nobody really cares about you losing your home. So in this sense, I'm also thinking, how can I be useful for those people who mm, had to disconnect from their previous networks and who had to find, like, rebuild everything anew in the new world, and creating an agency for people who, well, affected by war, for example, like to hire people who are, how to say it, who were pushed to move away. Uh, this, I think, is very important part of my thinking as well. And generally, if we just think on the bigger scale, I don't know what's coming, right, with all these AI things and all our fancy new innovations. And I'm just looking for potential answers, what I believe may work better. And I think probably kind of project-based work will work better than constant full-time employment. So instead of committing yourself to, the lifetime of work, you rather commit to the project and you do something together. But for example, also coming from my reality, have to understand that I'm not gonna have like retirement savings. So my dear past government, and I'm a Russian citizen so far, my past government is not gonna keep money for my retirement package. So I have to figure it out myself. And I think I also have to figure it out a little bit beyond just savings, because money can become pieces of paper within like that, just like that. Um, and it's more, I believe, about actual, maybe not passive income sources, but just overall revenue sources, creating projects that create maybe some royalties, something, like mo movie, for example, how Hollywood works. So everybody makes a movie, but then movie keeps being purchased and watched and everything, and so everybody still makes some money even after the movie is done and released and already outdated and all this stuff. Same works with music, even though music right now is fairly hard, but still you make music, you upload it to the streaming platforms, and you get a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. So at least you are not gonna um, completely struggle and I don't know, starve to death. So same for us of like entrepreneurship in this sense, like how to do projects, how to co-create projects that we can push now, but also that last into the future. Sorry for that long answer.
Hmm. So the way I think about it, and it's interesting and both telling, maybe challenging, maybe naive to think that you don't trust the government with your money, but you trust the streaming platform or other thing to keep on paying you royalties. Uh, the way I look at it myself personally, because I've lived in so many countries, and between social, I'm just not paid into any system. So I've accepted that I will work until I die. So my approach rather is to figure out how to organize my life so that I will have something to do
Mm,
until I die. And my answer to it is to build relationships and structures that will, and of course, I will be working less when I'm older, but hopefully I'm wiser and I can bring in, and I'm already starting to see this. I'm only 52, but somehow I've managed to get to the point from being the most reactive and jumpy person when I was young. There is more and more times when I'm the calmest person, and I bring, calm to the room. So, and it's funny, you realize like, yeah, okay, we're adults, but when you're 22 versus 52, it's a different kind of person still. So I'm starting to see the value of being the older person in a room. And hopefully, as I develop and grow, I will grow more of that. So for me, the answer is to build a relationship. Something that I've been dreaming forever is to build a tribe, that I can be part of a tribe, right? And to me, this is what I see as security, is not having something, not having money, not having whatever, but having the relationships to know that, there will always be something somewhere for me to be useful and to contribute to. That's how I think about it.
yeah, totally. Uh, One of my friends and mentors, he says, well, your network is your net worth. And I totally get it. It's much better to have friends and good friends. I mean, it's not just friends, right? But about what kind of friends and what kind of things you went through together. Like, so these people would actually respond to your messages or calls.
One of my favorite bad jokes is a friend will help you move. A true
Yeah.
friend will help you move a body.
Mm,
It's kind of gruesome, but if you think down your list, if I had to move a dead body, who could I call from my list? And it's
yeah.
much shorter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with my wife, it's also a little bit like detour, but with my wife, we recently talked about a lot about toxic positivity. And toxic positivity is like smiling to each other and trying to, avoid the sharp edges instead of actually getting serious about things that have to be solved,
But
and that
it's
makes
not
better
much of a
relationships.
problem for us Eastern Europeans, though, right?
Yeah.
The Eastern Europe tends to much more tend towards toxic negativity, no?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, totally. So in this sense, it is like also kind of friendship, right? Like friendship is not about who is smiling to you and who is smiling to you in response. I mean, who you are smiling at in response. It's more about with who you can get serious when, there is some serious stuff happening and you need to actually solve a problem. Um, Something like that. And in this sense, working together on something is a great practice because it helps you to become a better person, a little bit of less of an asshole in life. And at the same time, you learn through all these things together with somebody.
Yeah, you learn and you grow. And uh, and this is why, when I talk about the tribe, this is for me, it's there is a bunch, we've really disassociated our lives in the modern era. You have your work here, your family here, your friends there, they're completely separate spheres. It was never like that in history,
Yeah.
right? Your family, the people you worked with, your friends, it was all one coherent. It was not 100%, but it was pretty much the same people. And you had to practice being together in those kinds of ways, right? And I think we've spread it too far, right? This idea that like we work together, but we're not friends. I mean, that's pathological. Why
Mhm.
would you spend 8 hours of your life in a company of people that are strangers? That can't be good for your mental health.
Totally. And nobody really cares about your mental health because the way how the money making works is like it's focused on money making, and that's not your money making, it's the money making for your boss and the stakeholders, as they call them.
And the funny paradoxical thing is that might have worked if, I don't know, you had a factory and people were just making a screw on the factory line. And then you don't need the people to know or like each other, it doesn't matter. But that work is taken over by machines. Now we are working in highly creative, variable world in a complex environment where you need people to be creative, adaptive. You need people to bring their whole selves to the work to be effective, right? So
Hmm.
you can't create teams from human beings turned into shitty robots, and human beings make shitty robots because we get tired, we get drunk, we make mistakes, we get angry, all of this, right? Uh, and yeah, that was the reality 100 years ago. We didn't have robots, but now we are moving to a world, or even not creative, right? Like I was just yesterday at the mall. Sometimes I go, they have a food court. Like this is as industrial as food as things get, right? And I walked up to this one thing, and the woman was so nice. She heard me, I had an accent, and she switched to English, and she was just friendly. It was a 5 minute interaction or even less, but it was really pleasant. It was just touching, and I'll go to eat there again, right? That was the success. It's just one more chain of some sandwich, whatever, whatever, but she was there present in her humanity, right?
Yeah.
And we need that, right? That's what success for a business will be. And I'm sure that, people go there regularly because she's got a real genuine smile and all of this. So we need people to bring their real humanity, we need to create workplaces which, yeah, enable us to feel human and connected and have friendships and all of this. Uh, yeah.
Basically, the workplaces that help us to grow personally. So we, instead of avoiding the growth and rather, fitting ourselves into the machine, rather we embrace growth I mean, again, I'm basically a war refugee moving from, Siberia to Mexico with my wife, and we I mean, she gave a birth to our child here. And the thing is that if we would just fit ourselves into some sort of, shape, we would probably break up and, divorce and never be together. But the thing is that we embrace that, and we embrace that need of personal growth, of overcoming this inner, I don't know, blocks and some sort of past, I don't know, beliefs. And that helps us move forward, and that helps us to be better humans, and that helps us to be better partners. And that, take it kind of ties up together. And I think the same applies to um, like workplaces. So if you even call it work, it's rather co-creation places, co-playing places, right? Something that on one side creates value for the future, for your well-being, monetary or overall, but also helps you to become a little bit, better person and understand how narrow-minded we all are when we are born, when we grow up, when we are 20 or when we are 30, and only after that our horizon kind of becomes more wide, and we can understand where we can become better people as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting looking at the etymology of the word work. And in many Slavic languages, robota,
Hmm.
related to robot,
Yeah.
right? And if you look, the word didn't exist before the Industrial Revolution.
Mm.
I mean, you went and you plowed the field, you milked the cows, each of those is a thing, but just work as it didn't exist before. But I'm going to pull it back to how can people engage with Alex? Okay, so video editing, consulting, or video editing work, you want to do that, but it feels like there is something you would to start a conscious media collective, or I don't know. It feels like there is something there in your vision, but what is it?
I think like for me, the best way to engage um, is to embrace the idea of experiences. So I am a travel entrepreneur. I mostly create trips, but my kind of general belief is that as a creators, as businesses, what we need to focus on is to create experiences for other people. And with that concept, I worked with many different fields. I worked with, I don't know, with banks, for example, creating experiences for employees, learning experiences for employees. I think overall, this topic is so huge, like how to create transformations, how to create um, meaningful experiences, and that can be applied to so many different fields of human activities. So for those who want to, explore co-creation opportunities together with me, just come from the angle of how we can create some experience together, how we can co-create something from this perspective, because then I would be like total fit, and I will maybe share some materials that I have. I have, for example, a free course for journey design, how to create journeys, not just in terms of like trips, but for example, how to create a learning journey for employees of a corporation. So there would be corporate transformation happening. And or how to create a journey for festival visitors, starting from booking or actually getting to know the festival all the way to the attending the festival and post-event, activities. So I think journeys are a really interesting concept and experiences are a really interesting concept. And so I would be super happy to collaborate in this direction. And I have materials to share. So all it takes is just to send me an email. And my email is super easy. It's like alex@alex.travel. And I have LinkedIn. So just send me a DM or comment on any post, and here I am. I'm living human being, not AI, and I reply like a human.
Nice. Wonderful. Thank you.